Hey guys, welcome back to another impressions video, and today we're going to talk about this game right here, Kirby's Epic Yarn, a 2010 release developed by Goodfeel and published by Nintendo. And obviously this is a very charming side-scrolling platforming game in the Kirby series, which it feels very different because oddly enough this game started development as a new IP. Goodfeel was developing a new platformer, and then Nintendo stepped in and they were like, make this a Kirby game. So that's pretty apparent when it comes to the gameplay, which I will develop a little bit farther into the game. And the story also plays a key role. I know usually Nintendo platformers, the stories are very simple, and Epic Yarn is no different, but it does accommodate the fact that this is a different Kirby game, in the sense that Kirby is sent into this different land called Patch Land, where everything is made out of yarn and things like that. And because Kirby got converted into a yarn piece by this evil person called Yin Yarn, Kirby cannot use his regular powers, the usual, sucking enemies up to mimic their abilities. So that's where, the story kind of explains why this is not your typical Kirby game. And so it's up to Kirby to help Prince Fluff, which is, the ruler of Patchland, helping restore peace and defeat Yin Yarn, and get everything back in order, and then so that way he can return back to Dreamland. So the story, like I said, it's funny because it kind of explains why the game is different. And but let's talk about the graphics first. When this game was unveiled back in, I think, the 09 E3, it won a lot of awards for best graphics, and it's no surprise. This is a fantastic looking game, even though it's a Wii game. But it goes to show that art direction can definitely conquer over technical advancements when it comes to graphic fidelity and all that. It's a very charming looking game. Everything is made out of animated yarn, and there's a lot of clothing materials in the background and things like that. So this is definitely one of the best looking games out of the 7th generation of gaming. And Goodfeel did a fantastic job throughout the game. You do get that feel that you're in this yarn world, because everything is, again, it's very artsy, and everything is made out of animated yarn and things like that. So a fantastic job as far as the art, and not only that, but the atmosphere in the game, the scenery, the different worlds. I believe World 4, which is the snow world, has some levels that are perfect for like Christmas time. I'm definitely gonna put this game back during Christmas, because there's this one level where there's this Christmas tree and everything looks so lively and just very well animated. It really feels like you're watching like an animated movie almost. So very pleasant to look like. And very nice effects and very nice atmosphere and scenery in the background. So when you add everything together, this game is definitely one of the best looking games out there, in my opinion. Now, gameplay wise, going back to that aspect, obviously you cannot suck the abilities from the other enemies like in other Kirby games. So I know a lot of hardcore Kirby fans, I'm sure, were very disappointed, but for me that was a breath of fresh air in terms of gameplay. I have no issues whatsoever with that. And instead, Kirby uses, I don't know if you guys can see here, he has like a whip type of yarn whip or whatever, that you can use to defeat enemies, or you can catch projectiles with that and shoot them back towards enemies or whatever. And also Kirby, since he's now made out of yarn, he can convert into different things. He can convert into a car to move faster, or he can convert himself into a parachute to hover and have better platforming abilities, if you will. And also in some levels, Kirby can convert into a completely different type of like vehicle. In some levels, you can play as a fire truck. In some levels, you can play as an UFO. In some levels, you can play as a digging machine and things like that. And there's a lot of variation when it comes to those conversions, and they usually happen at the end of the levels. So it adds a little bit of replay value, a little bit of variation, so you don't get really tired with the mainline platforming gameplay of the game. Now, I do have to say, this is probably the easiest platforming game I've played in my life. So be warned, if you are one of those people that prefer a challenge with their games, don't even touch this, because this is literally one of the easiest games I played in my life. This is that, however, in my opinion, it's a positive if you're a parent and you have young kids. I think this is a perfect entry point for very young kids to play, because you really can't die in this game. There's no way to die. Some enemies don't even deal damage to you. The only punishment you get for performing bad, if you will, is that throughout each level you collect these small beads. And the more beads you collect, the different medals you're gonna get. You can get a bronze medal, a silver medal, and a gold medal. And obviously the goal is to get a gold medal by the end of the level, which means that if you fall in on a cliff, let's say you fall on a cliff, you're gonna lose a lot of those beads. So you have to either go back or restart the level or try and get back more beads. That way, at the end of the level, you're going to earn a gold medal. So that's kind of the replay value of the game. It encourages you to go back and try and get a gold medal for each level. But then again, getting gold medals wasn't not that difficult. In fact, I got most of the levels, I got gold medals on my first try pretty easily. So even then, there's not a whole lot of challenge. The game does have other things such as collectibles. Each level has 2 treasures that are hidden, as well as a soundtrack CD that you can unlock. So 3 collectibles plus the medals in each level. Those are kind of like your replay value elements, if you will. And there's also another pretty cool component of the game where those treasures that you collect during the game, they're usually patches that represent furniture and decorations and things like that. And there's this hub at the beginning of the game where you can decorate your own apartment, and then the apartment building grows. So new tenants move in and they have requests for new furniture. So if you happen to find those furniture patches, you can give that to the new tenant, and in turn they unlock mini games for you. So there's a bunch of mini games that are unlocked based on all the collectibles you collect during the game. And again, the medal, getting the gold medals and things like that. So there's actually quite a bit of replay value. But again, this game is extremely easy, and I can see why some people will put this game down immediately because of the difficulty. There's basically no difficulty. However, I do have to say that it's extremely enjoyable. A game can be very easy but still enjoyable to play. So I had a lot of fun playing this when I came back from work, and I just wanted to relax and beat 3 or 4 levels and then save the game, and the next day over play 2, 3, 4 levels and rinse and repeat basically. So a very relaxing game, and the level design is it's really good actually. It's hard to explain because it's very easy. There's not a lot of challenge in the platforming, but for me the enjoyment was just to go through the levels, trying to collect as many beats as possible, and just enjoying the visuals in the game, just admiring the great art direction and the great overall look and charm of the game. That's where I think I got most of my enjoyment out of this game. Plus the soundtrack. The soundtrack for this game is absolutely fantastic. Very charming, very Kirby-like, and some orchestral pieces that are just absolutely fantastic. Some very nice remixes of old and classic Kirby tunes in there. So the soundtrack for this game is absolutely gorgeous. So if you add everything together, In my opinion, Kirby Epic Yarn is a fantastic game. I can see why people don't like this, especially fans, hardcore fans of the Kirby series. This is not your typical Kirby game. You cannot mimic, you cannot copy the abilities from other enemies. You cannot hover, you know, how Kirby can, you know, intermittently float in the air. You cannot do that in this game because you're made out of yarn. So very different. It feels very different, which in my opinion, again, is a good thing. There's plenty of Kirby games out there where you can, you know, mimic the abilities and float all you want. So I almost think that Nintendo should have let this be a new IP like it was originally intended, because there's very little Kirby, you know, in the game. But at the same time, I'm happy that they decided to go with a Kirby game because of the soundtrack. You know, hearing those classic Kirby tunes remixed in such a different way, it was very interesting. So definitely Kirby Epic Yarn, a very, very easy platformer, but very enjoyable. I just had a lot of fun. It was a very stress-free game. It can be played with 2 people, so again, this is perfect for a parent and a, you know, child, or if you have a younger brother, a younger sister, you know, grandson, granddaughter, whatever. This is a perfect starting point and a must-have in a Wii collection if you like platformers, in my opinion. Sure, it's easy. Sure, it's not your classic Kirby game, but it's a very charming and enjoyable game overall. So it took me about, just that last point, it took me about 8 hours to beat the game, and I still haven't done everything. There's a couple levels that I still need to unlock. So it does have some. It's a short game. Obviously, it can be beat much faster than that. It's about if you rush through the game, it will take you about, I'd say, 5 hours. But it took me around 8 hours to unlock most of the stuff. I still need to go back and unlock a few hidden levels. But overall, Kirby's Epic Yarn, a fantastic game, highly recommended game for the Nintendo Wii. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all later.